What's up guys, FLOWSHIZZLE here, and today we're going to be making an update to the Viper Main's ICEBOX guide because the changes to ICEBOX have made a huge difference to how you should be playing her. There are going to be some similarities, but there are also going to be some key differences, mostly in the playstyle that you should be having, as well as a few key angles that you're going to need to be aware about. As always, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. Brimstone and Omen guides are also on the way, and with that being said, onto the video. Now, before we start, we're going to go over the changes. The biggest one are to the sight and to yellow. Yellow is no longer diagonal, it's vertical, and there's this additional box here that is wall penetrable. The other one is that there was no longer this double stack that was right here, and this sight box has been extended out. So what that changes that, well, other smokes are going to be viable on this map because now you can smoke this and you can smoke that, and easily enough there are no gaps just because pretty much all of the smokes have been widened, and it's good enough. All the smokes can really cover this. Yes, there will be a top gap, but honestly that's fine as long as you have like one teammate holding it. All right, so if you have a Sage, I think you should still be aiming to throw the same wall. So basically you're still aiming for around this corner to here. Pretty much does the same thing. You can get the wall down horizontally or even vertically now. I would still recommend this diagonal one, and then getting the spike down. This works pretty much the same as before, but the changes come when you don't have a Sage. If you don't have a Sage, you're gonna wall deeper so you can take more space so that you can guarantee this safe plant. Because if this wall doesn't exist, defenders can tuck behind the wall, swing out, and just kill whoever's planting by just pinging where the one spot is that people would really want to plant. So yeah, there's that. The deeper one I would throw is that one that would hug the slant by Snowman. So basically, if you look in the minimap, I'm gonna aim for this slant right here. I kind of start off in this corner right here, and I'll throw it. And basically after that, you have a pretty safe way of getting onto site. As long as you have like one player danger watching any pushes, you can even plant right under here, in here if you really want to be safe, or right here. This one just has the issue of if you run out of gas, you're kind of screwed because you're just be stuck in the corner. And also this doesn't really give you the best angles at holding spike, because realistically the best one is to peek from here, but that's super exposed to everywhere else. You could also push up along this side of yellow, but even so, this isn't really the best either. This one and this one are still the best, which is why I still think that you should still aim to plant there. Now, how you should be playing is be careful. Yellow is no longer as large as it used to be, meaning that utility can flush you out pretty easily. A molly literally covers this entire lane, which is probably one of the best spots to play, because if you think about it, if you're peeking right, you're peeking left, you can kind of alternate between the two, and no one can really push you without being exposed to B main. But now, because it's so vertical, if you're not here, then you're holding this really awkward position, and if you wide swing, you'll probably die to any Opera's Snowman. You're gonna kind of be stuck here, so pick your fights kind of wisely. If you don't have a Sage, I think being aggressive is probably the best way to go, because without the Sage, your slant wall is significantly like worse on the post plant. What I mean by this is if you look at how deep the wall is, it gets you on site pretty safely, but once they get past the wall, you don't really have any defense, as they can just come out. They're already past the wall. You weren't able to capitalize on them running through, so it's just not as good. That's why I recommend taking this aggressive danger area, trying to get a pick or two before running back to yellow and getting into safety. Usually you'll leave this up to your duelist though. As for a molly for default, it's different now because obviously this is completely different. All you have to do is walk up to this white vertical beam by the garage area. Just walk yourself into it, and then you're gonna look here. You see this little yellow outline where it's like the hazard? You're gonna want to go up to the edge of this wall. So basically, because obviously if you aim to the right of it, it's gonna hit this. There's just a little bit to the left. You're gonna aim right on the edge of this line. It'll land, it'll bounce, and be perfect for the default plant. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be wondering, what about the defense setup? So let's kind of talk about it. So the changes to B main pretty much just lies in this hallway right now. And that actually has caused quite a few issues, because the one way I put before now doesn't cover this, and there's actually a significant gap. So if we were to throw my old lineup, and it doesn't really even have a lineup anymore, right here, you're gonna notice that, hey, you can get shot from here pretty easily. And while it still, does pretty okay job, it doesn't do nearly as well as it used to. The way that they're swinging, they have a better swing on you. You can still kind of do the same setup, throwing something like this toward the edge.
Toxins go. Poison orb emitting. Toxin screen down.
And you can probably still catch people off guard, but you're gonna notice that there's just a much wider gap because this box was edged in a little bit before this was a line. It works, you can get away with it, but you do have to make sure that you're aware of these things. Now, this is my normal retake setup. basically I'm gonna try to get the orb to be 3/4 away from the left, right around the edge of this yellow tape. And that's because I think more people swing around this side when they're attacking than this side. And this side is more important to deal with than this side. So what I'll do is I'll line up with the edge of the container and this one, which is similar to my icebox guide. And I'll line up with this corner with this yellow tape. And then basically I'll aim at the corner. It'll bounce off the barrier and land on the edge. Not super complicated. As for my wall, I'll throw it something like this, basically aiming toward the back of the main. Yeah. What I'm trying to do is make sure that this part is covered so that if I want to cross out of yellow, I can. So I'm aiming for the corner, it crosses, and that way if I want to escape from yellow, I can just leave. This also is a pretty solid retake wall. So how would you play retake? Well, essentially you're gonna do the same thing, or you're gonna play to spot whether they're coming or not. I'll do this with a molly. You just have to make sure that your jiggle peaks are a little bit less wide before you could do something like as like wide as this. But if they swing from the inner angle by this little garage area, you'll kind of die. So the way I'm gonna swing is gonna be a little more safe. And then I can kind of put the one way up, stall for as long as possible. The wall can come up, and then after that you just wait for your team to come and you can give. Giving is just hyper defensive, and I would actually recommend with this setup to actually play slightly aggro, see if you can get a pick and then leave. So basically after mollying, you're gonna run back toward yellow. You're gonna want to wait for this silver drone to time out if possible, and then you're gonna wait till they're around the orb area. Usually the indication is someone grabbing orb, or you could just basically play off footsteps, throw up the orb, and then you're gonna want to swing with it, kind of using the edge to try to create this one way and get a pick. After that, you can drop the orb and pop the wall, and you can fall back. And this will give you this kind of ability to get one and then get out, putting your team at a 5v4 situation and more likely to win the retake. Playing retake is also pretty simple. We're just assuming you're off site. You're going to throw up the wall, allow your teammates to kind of scale up. What you want to be worried about is up here, and then he pushes through the smoke. But after you get to this sort of power position where you don't no longer have to worry about it, you're going to want to drop the wall and clear it with your teammates. It's pretty easy to clear. If you really want to like kind of make it easier, aim for a molly there like I said before, and then after you clear it, you just throw up the orb. Throwing up the orb makes it very hard for the attackers to have anywhere to play. And then at this point, hopefully a teammate is sticking the spike, and then you're just going to hold anyone who's going to try to swing out to try to peek the spike and get any free kills. So it's just, as usual, a layered approach. Although it doesn't have that benefit of the diagonal wall that cut here, this orb kind of covers for it because we remember in the beginning we placed it slightly more to the right. So it kind of benefits. It'll cover most of it and you'll be all set. Avoid using both because your gas will run out really quickly. That's why it's a two-layered approach. Throw up the wall, get close, pull down the wall, throw up the orb, clear yellow, clear B main. There is another one for just holding sight. So basically, another way you can do it is by just throwing the orb at like the edge of this brown spot right here. And it'll cover everything on the right. And you kind of use this to be able to hold the left or shoot the jump up. You have to care about being spammed, but I don't think it's common enough that people are really ready for it. You kind of get these angles, and it's kind of cheeky. A safer way to play around this is just to kind of hold for the jump up. You'll just be looking around here, seeing if anyone jumps up on this box to try to get up top, and they usually won't be expecting someone to just be holding the top. You're just gonna kind of ignore this, and you're gonna let your sight player kind of deal with anyone running out this way. The reason why I say not a lot of players really like running out this way is if you think about it, if I run out this way, I can get shot from here, here, and here, right? But with the way the angling is for this on the attacker side, it's easy to clear this. After you clear it, you can kind of put this angle behind this wall and you're safe from it. You can peek the other ones individual. So that's why most people don't like swinging this. It's kind of an unconscious thought, but if you just think about it, would you rather run in the middle of everything or would you rather clear things slowly? So after the orb, my wall would probably go something like this. I'm basically trying to cut through B garage right here, throwing up the wall like this. So this does allow me to escape if need be. And also allows me to defend the main. So the reason why this wall is like this is because it gets more ticks on the gas. If anyone's rushing, they're gonna have to run through more layers of the gas. The other one was so deep that usually it fades, but this one kind of gives multiple areas where it's gonna weaken. And since you're trying to hold sight, it makes sense that you're trying to get those ticks as long as possible and as often as possible. Basically how you want to do this is you'll throw up the wall only at the beginning of the round, and you're looking up here. This is because it's very common for jets or raises to satchel or updraft and dash toward this area, and if you can get this pick or get some chip damage, it's going to be there to help you hold the site. After they've gotten past this point, you can kind of just focus on holding this bottom area. Throw up the orb. You can even drop a molly behind it to make sure no one pushes through. And then you can hold something like up here or even this side, where people are likely to not going to be able to expect it as often.
Poison's off.
After this, when your gas goes down, that's when it's going to get a little bit rougher. Hopefully, you'll have some teammates that have already rotated at this point. It's kind of hard for them to clear you out of yellow because they have to cross this chasm to even fight you. So you can even stall it by just bouncing a molly off of this. They're not going to really want to even push toward yellow with this. And they're going to be forced to go to this side, which is actually going to be somewhere where you would pivot. Basically, you'll throw your molly like this, and you'll hold something like this with a crossfire with a teammate on site or back here or up there. And that way you can kind of hold yellow, stall for more teammates, and have a higher chance of winning this. Try to play an off angle. Don't always just hug this side of the wall. Make sure you like play something like this and just hold for them to swing out. This setup does work on retake. You can use this setup for retake. And it's not bad. Basically, what you want to do is just throw out the wall, leave the orb down. You can cross pretty safely. You do have to worry about someone being up here, but as long as you're aware of it, it's going to be really easy. This does become a little bit more dangerous because they can peek, but as long as you have someone posted on it, this is actually quite easy to retake. Basically, what you're going to want to do, I'm going to put down the wall, but imagine if it was up, you're just going to try to bank a molly off this wall and get it somewhere in here. This is the best position, like I explained before. So once you cancel this one out, it's pretty easy to clear something like this with a flash or something. They only can be in this sort of lane, and since they don't have much wiggle room, it's going to be a little bit awkward. You can even see most of it from Snowman. Literally, if you look at the line of sight, you can clear most of this side of yellow just from being all the way back there. So if you do that ahead of time, it's going to make it a lot easier. And then once you've taken yellow, you'll throw up the orb, and then you'll clear these angles individually. Now, I do want to mention one thing. Because of the changes to yellow, it makes a lot of sense to try to hold it. Before, yellow was too hard to hold and you generally just die before you can even do anything. There wasn't enough room to move around there. There is not enough cover. You can get shot from too many angles with the diagonal. You can get shot from here and up here with like literally like 2 feet worth of space to jiggle around. But because this is so wide now, you can easily be able to try to hold this, and it's a lot of times worth it. If you get 1 or 2 kills, it makes sense to try to hold it. Make it so that it's easier for your teammates rotating in to support you. So I would actually recommend you be playing around this yellow box as Viper. If you get drone tagged, that's okay. They're still not going to be able to push you. Throwing a molly off of this will pretty much just stop any rush. You just stay in the center of yellow. Even if they scale along this side, yeah, they're gonna have to run all the way around to try to kill you. And obviously by that time, your drone tag has long faded out and you'll probably have an even fight against them, as well as the fact that they're in a really precarious position, needing to fight someone back yellow, as well as fighting your teammates that are rotating onto site to help you. So that's why it's worth it. You break the drone, you stick back, you can chill out, throw a molly to stall them, and you'll be all set. Play around yellow. Trust me, you'll thank me. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and as always, peace out.